once you have a vague idea of your body type, knowing how to dress for it can be a minefield. Each of the 10 body types has such distinct recommendations, and it can be really easy to feel lost, especially when you're first discovering this whole theory. In this video, I am going to strip the recommendations to their bare bones to make it as easy as possible for those who are just discovering this theory and maybe trying to find what to wear in a way that suits you and your features. My name is Ellie-Jean, I'm a style consultant, and on this channel, we find our style by finding ourselves. So, why should you even dress for your body type? Firstly, it can be amazing for confidence. When I first discovered the body types, it was such a relief for me to realize that the reason clothes didn't look on me how they look on Kendall Jenner is because I don't look like Kendall Jenner. We have nothing in common in our physical bone structure, so it makes sense that clothes are going to fall on her differently. So learning how to embrace the things that make me me and honoring those in my clothing has been such an amazing thing for confidence, because I've realized that not all clothes are built to fit me, and so it's their problem, not mine. Secondly, you tend to buy things that last longer because they work for your silhouette, not based on your sudden whims. They're based on the strong foundations of understanding what works on you. Thirdly, you can stop trying to make trends work for your body that you can instantly know aren't going to suit you. So it's such a simple set of guidelines when you go shopping that has really made shopping a completely different experience for me. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly what to skip straight past. Even if I like it, I can appreciate it and move on. So it's really great for budgeting. It's really great for being more minimal. It's really great for sustainability. And lastly, it's actually more comfortable. I get this comment a lot of, oh, well, I just want to dress in what's comfortable. Actually, dressing for your body type lines is the best way to do that, because you're wearing clothes which literally follow the structure of your body, rather than trying to fit into something which is built for a completely different shape. So inherently, it's going to help you dressing things that are more comfortable. So what happens when you don't dress for your body type? Well, the phrasing that we tend to use in the kind of body type community is that it looks off. So it looks like you're wearing someone else's clothes, like you're wearing a bit of a costume, like it hasn't been overly thought through and intentional. On a practical level, that might mean you don't get the job you want because you look a little uncomfortable. It might mean you don't get a second date. It might mean that you feel less comfortable in yourself. So there's lots of like real world ramifications of not understanding your body type and what looks at ease with you. But let's rewind a little bit. What are the Kibbe body types? The really cool thing about Kibbe body types is that they don't change as you age, as you gain weight, as you gain muscle, as you lose weight, lose muscle, as you go through pregnancy, go through the menopause. So much happens to women's bodies, and of course our bodies change, but there are so many elements of our bodies which don't change, like our fundamental bone structure, how tall we are, and how long or short we look, how long our limbs are, the proportions between shoulders and our knees. Some things just don't change, and that's what the Kibbe body types are based in. So it provides a solid foundation as your body goes through all these changes so that they're a little less scary. You know, I'm not afraid anymore of gaining a stone and losing a stone and going through very normal body weight fluctuations, because I know the shapes that are going to suit me no matter where I am in my weight, essentially. Once you've learned your lines, you've learned them for life. It's built on the foundation of the idea of yin and yang balance. So yin being delicate, little, rounded, soft shapes, and yang being sharp, elongated, narrow, large shapes. And why do we use the terms yin and yang? Well, simply we don't have a direct translation in English. And once you know all that, the idea is that you echo the lines of your body with the lines of your clothes. So if you're very soft, rounded, delicate, light, you would wear clothes that are soft, delicate, rounded. If all of this is still feeling like a little bit much, I can help you find your body type and your best lines if you head to bodyandstyle.com and head to services, which is under shop, and I can help you find your body type. I can also do essence, color season, and create your style file, so make sure to check out everything I offer there. So let's go through the lines for each of the 10 body types. Dramatics. The essential principles for dramatics is structure, straight lines, and sharpness. Now, what the hell does this mean? I always recommend thinking about these words very literally. Lots of people get hung up on, yes, but what is a sharp line? What is a straight line? Just take your head out of body types and clothes for a second and just draw me a picture on a page. What is a straight line? What is an angular line? Think of all the different angular shapes that are out there in the world. Triangles are angular, rectangles are angular, hexagons are very sharp, whereas round is very literal round shapes like ovals, circles. Have you ever heard of the, oh my God, what is it? It's the, oh, what is it? I need to Google that now. It's like, okay, so this is experiment which is shapes, and it's got like this round shape on the screen, this really sharp shape on the screen, and it's got like these two words that go with it. Something like booba and zap or something. Those aren't the words, but those, they're very much like that. And obviously, and they say, right, which picture is which word? And people always associate like the round shape with the round word, which I find really interesting. So that is like a really good example of yin and yang. So yeah, don't think too literally look at the shapes in front of you. Are they straight? Are they round? It's not like that philosophical, it's very, very literal. So for example, some straight lines in fashion, collars are very sharp and straight. Shoulder pads can be very yang because they can create a very sharp shape up top. Shirts are very straight because they're literally straight at the edges. And they also have elongation in the button up. Obviously the buttons are round, so they're more yin. They're also little, so they're more yin. Suit trousers tend to be very yang because they have very long, elongated, sharp pleats. Geometric patterns, so stripes, zigzags, sharp, straight skirts rather than round skirts. Maxi skirts, of course, very elongated and straight. T-shirts can be very angular because they've got that high neck. Anything with a high neck tends to be very sharp because it adds sharpness near that face. It tends to be quite straight and it creates like a straight line on top when you have like a high neck. Dramatics ultimately need to accommodate vertical. So thinking of this idea as accommodation, this is a huge word we use in Kibbe body types. Essentially means, what do you need to take into account when you're building your outfit? What is the dominant feature that you are trying to cater for ultimately and make sure is being built into the foundation of your outfit? So dramatics accommodate vertical, which means elongation and narrowness. Soft dramatics, their dominant features are vertical and curve. So they have elongation and they also have round shapes in their frame. So of course they need to be wearing long lines with round shapes. They look best in large round patterns, large round shapes. So their bag should be large but round. Their shoes should be high but round in toe. They should have long skirts that are round in shape, very hourglass in shape, large but round necklines, large but round sleeves. Flamboyant naturals, they need to accommodate vertical and width. What is width? I'm going to do a video in this in more depth, but ultimately it's in the upper back and your shoulders. Some people argue ribs. I've never actually seen Kibbe say that, but I think generally it's pretty understood that you also have width in your ribs, but mostly your upper body. This doesn't mean you necessarily have like a typical triangle shape, but often it does kind of come through that way. So of course we need to accommodate vertical and width. So we pretty much know about accommodating vertical now. Long lines, your yang dominant, elongated shapes, large shapes. Now the width, that is, think horizontal, think open, think wide. So off shoulder sleeves, loose draped shapes. Asymmetry is also great for flamboyant naturals. So anything that's not like too samey. Width in the trousers, so flared legs is a good example of width. They also look great in a mix of textures, lots of different textures together. This idea of deconstruction, deconstructed lines are great on flamboyant naturals. Soft naturals, they need to accommodate width and curve. So they look good in slightly short lines. They're pretty moderate in their vertical line. As you can see, it's not one of their like dominant features. So width, we've talked about openness, we've talked about flowing draped shapes, we've talked about mix of textures, all of that applies here. Now the curve, you just need to combine that with curve, so waist definition, very important, much lighter fabrics, more round shapes in the patterns, nothing too little, nothing too delicate, but very round in shape. Dramatic classics, they need to honor balance and vertical. So balance is ultimately wearing things that are symmetrical, balance, not too yang, not too yin, very much in the middle. So moderate length lines and slightly long because they have a bit of vertical in there. And I like to think of it as not too much layering, so very simple silhouettes, not like a collar and then a vest and then a jumper and then a jacket. Very simple shapes. that aren't too confusing and not too much, because if not, they tend to get overwhelmed very, very easily. They also look great in like low contrast, so not too much going on. Balance is often associated with minimal detail, like this top here. So as much as it applies to layering, it applies to patterns, everything very, very simple, not too over the top. Now, the vertical we know is having some sharp lines. So this could be a blazer, but with a t-shirt, rather than a blazer and a collar and a waistcoat, if that makes sense. So some sharpness, but nothing too over the top. Can look good in some straight slacks, some straight jeans that aren't too flared, aren't too cinched, just very much straight jeans. Think very simple straight lines. Soft classics. Everything I said about balance applies here, so minimal detail, simple lines, not too much layering, not too many intricate patterns, everything very simple, moderate lengths but leaning slightly short because they have curve in their frame, they have a slightly shorter vertical line. So for curve, they need waist definition, they need some soft light round shapes in their silhouettes, slightly lighter fabrics. A really great example I think of soft classic kind of yin details is broderie on glaze rather than a very intricate lace. So you can see how broderie on glaze is a lot more simple, it's still round, it's still delicate, but it's also kind of solid, I guess. It's not too flimsy, it's very much an in the middle pattern. So that's a really great example of combining balance and curve together. Slightly round necklines, slightly soft sleeves, some roundness in their bottom half. Not shoes that aren't too delicate, and like a really delicate shoe is like a tiny ballet shoe. Nothing too like round and yin, but a little bit of a yin influence is really good. Flamboyant gamines. So gamines have a lot of contrast in their frame. They need to accommodate petite and vertical, which might make you go, I thought vertical was really, really yang and gamines are really, really yin. So petite, let's start there because that's the easiest to get. So petite is narrowness and shortness all in one. So they have delicate frame. So they need to wear short lines, very small details, nothing too large and overwhelming. And the vertical element of this is sharpness. So they have a lot of narrowness in their frame. That is the vertical. Kind of think Twiggy, how she kind of looks like long but also tiny at the same time. Two things can be true at once. So to accommodate vertical, of course, we know by now that means like sharpness, collars, some sharp lines in our silhouette, so straight lines everywhere. Now, the interesting thing about gamines is they look really good in this idea of contrast. So that can be done with patterns. Patterns are a really great, simple version of contrast. So you have like two colors combined together in like very angular shapes. That would be a great example of contrast for a flamboyant gamine, so like a zigzag shape. Contrast can also be done in shapes of the outfit. So for example, a tweed set, great example of contrast because it's a broken line, it's two items and they're kind of broken up. They have very sharp, straight, boxy shapes. So boxiness is a really great word for flamboyant gamines to kind of use in searches and stuff and to kind of look for. Also lots of layering in contrast to classics. So lots of small, delicate details like zips, a great example of a detail, buttons, pockets, all of that amazing on gamines. So soft gamines. Everything I just said about contrast applies here. Everything about petite, so very short lines, very small details, lots of contrast, a mix of stuff going on, lots of layers, lots of details, except they also have curve to accommodate. Soft gamines are essentially the most complicated out there, along with theatrical romantics. You have so much to think about in there. So you need waist definition, you need some round shapes in your frame. So flamboyant gamine pattern is like a zigzag, a soft gamine pattern is like polka dots. So you see it still has that contrast, but they're more round in shape. They look really great in flared skirts, like tennis skirts, because they're stiff, so they've got that yang from their bone structure in there, but they're also kind of delicate at the same time. Collared dresses, anything layered. I think Reese Witherspoon is a really great example of a soft gamine dresser. She really tends to honor her lines. Theatrical romantics, similarly confusing. So they need to accommodate double curve. If you want to know about my thoughts on double curve and my explanation of it, check out this video here. And they also accommodate petite and vertical. So they're vertical in terms of theatrical romantics. That's their dramatic undercurrent. So they're very narrow in frame. They have very narrow shoulders. They have like very narrow limbs. And their double curve is essentially extreme yin. So a very good rule for romantics is soft, round, flowing, cinched at the edges. So think about harem pants. They're very cinched at the waist, they're cinched at the ankles, but they're very soft and flowing. Think batwing sleeves. They're very cinched at the wrist, they're cinched usually on the waist as well, and they have soft flowing sleeves. Another great rule for theatrical romantics is glamour. Think about jewels. They're kind of hard, which is the yang influence. They're also little, so that's the petite, but they're also very yin, and that's the shine, the sparkle. So that's totally theatrical romantic. They absolutely need waist emphasis, so they need that waist to be highlighted and built into the outfit that they're wearing. They can take some structured fabrics, but usually very light flowing fabrics. Think very much hourglass shapes for romantics, cinched at the knee, cinched at the waist, cinched at the shoulders. In jeans, that could translate to like mum jeans. Think high waists, cinched at the ankles, round shapes. Romantics are of course the most yin, and they need to accommodate double curve and sometimes petite. So they're small, they need delicate lines, they need short lines, they need waist emphasis and small details. And of course, romantics are extremely yin, and I'm going to go into a lot of detail about this as I did with yang. So round shapes, for example, a bow is a round shape. Ribbons are often used as an example of very yin because they're very round shapes. Soft round sleeves. Florals are very yin because they're very round. Butterflies are very yin because they're very round. So these are some examples of some round shapes. When it comes to clothing, dresses tend to be very yin, but you're absolutely not exclusive to wearing dresses, just as yang types aren't exclusive to wearing suits. And I've actually done an episode on, I'm doing episodes on body type myths at the moment on Shorts, so make sure to watch those because I think that would be really beneficial after watching this video. So soft, light fabrics. What is a soft, light fabric? Silk, chiffon, those are very great examples of soft, light fabrics. Very delicate shoes, very small, round shoes, soft, delicate accessories. Okay, I hope that was a good example of dressing for your body type for beginners. If you want me to go into any of these body types in more depth, make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will consider doing a full-length video on your best lines. And of course, if you want me to help you find your body type and your best lines, make sure to head to bodyandstyle.com and where you can book a package with me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.